Imagine a war so brutal, a conflict so devastating it dragged on relentlessly for 8 long years, an eternity in the history of modern warfare. It left entire cities in ruins, reduced to rubble and dust, a testament to the destructive power of human conflict. This was the Iran-Iraq War, a bloody and protracted struggle, a conflict that fundamentally redefined the political landscape of the Middle East, leaving scars that persist to this day. It cost over 1 million lives, a staggering loss of human potential, a tragedy on an unimaginable scale. What started it all? What were the underlying tensions that ignited this devastating war? In September 1980, on a date that would forever be etched in the annals of history, Saddam Hussein's Iraq launched a full-scale invasion of Iran, a brazen act of aggression, convinced its neighbor was weak and vulnerable, ripe for the taking. This miscalculation stemmed from the perceived instability in Iran after a chaotic revolution, a period of immense upheaval and uncertainty. But what Saddam expected to be a swift and decisive victory, a lightning strike to cripple his adversary, became a grueling and bloody stalemate, a war of attrition with no clear end in sight. Both sides were locked in a deadly embrace, a brutal and relentless struggle for survival. The world watched in shock and horror as the conflict escalated, as trenches snaked across the vast desert landscapes, mirroring the battlefields of a bygone era. It was an eerie echo of the horrors of World War I, a grim reminder of the futility of trench warfare. Poison gas drifted ominously across the battlefields, a silent killer, a grim and terrifying reminder that the established rules of war were being systematically ripped apart, with devastating consequences. Civilians weren't spared from the carnage. They became targets. Cities like Khorramshahr in Iran and Basra in Iraq, once vibrant centers of commerce and culture, were turned into desolate wastelands, reduced to rubble and ash by relentless bombing campaigns. Millions of people were forced to flee their homes, becoming refugees in their own land, their lives shattered beyond repair. Why did it last for such an agonizingly long time? What fueled this seemingly endless cycle of violence? Well, neither side wanted to back down, neither nation was willing to concede defeat. Iran, still riding the wave of revolutionary fervor after overthrowing the Shah, saw the war as a sacred crusade, a divine mission to defend its Islamic revolution against external aggression. Iraq, desperate to avoid a humiliating defeat and protect its own territorial integrity, unleashed everything it had in its arsenal, resorting to increasingly desperate measures. Foreign powers, eager to advance their own strategic interests, poured in weapons and resources, each hoping to tip the balance of power in their favor and gain a strategic advantage in the region. But this external meddling only ended up fueling the fire, prolonging the conflict and exacerbating the suffering. It wasn't just soldiers on the front lines who bore the brunt of the war's devastation. Children were tragically swept up in the fighting, forced to become soldiers before they even had a chance to live their lives. Entire communities vanished overnight, wiped off the map by the relentless violence. The world, for the most part, looked away, seemingly indifferent to the unfolding tragedy. But for those caught in the crossfire, trapped between the warring factions, the nightmare was inescapable, a relentless cycle of violence and suffering with no end in sight. After 8 long and agonizing years of bloodshed and destruction, both countries were utterly shattered, their economies crippled, and their societies deeply scarred. The borders barely changed, a stark and tragic reminder that all the sacrifice and suffering had been for naught. But the scars, physical and emotional, ran deep, a lasting testament to the brutality of the conflict. More than 1 million people were dead or wounded, a generation lost to the ravages of war, and the region was left even more volatile and unstable than before, a breeding ground for future conflicts. So why does this seemingly distant war still matter today? Why should we care about a conflict that ended decades ago? The Iran-Iraq War taught the world some harsh and invaluable lessons. Lessons that remain relevant in today's complex geopolitical landscape. It showed us that modern conflicts aren't always short or decisive, that wars can drag on for years, even decades, with no clear victor. It demonstrated how outside interference, even with the best of intentions, can inadvertently escalate violence and prolong conflicts, leading to even greater suffering. And it served as a stark reminder that ordinary people, the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire, always pay the highest price in any war. Even now, decades later, the echoes of this devastating war continue to shape the complex and often volatile political landscape of the Middle East. It fuels regional tensions, influences political alliances, and continues to impact international relations. So next time you hear about unrest or conflict in the region, take a moment to remember this war. It's not just about oil or borders, it's about something far more profound. It's about decades of history, immense sacrifice, and a war that fundamentally changed everything for the people of Iran and Iraq. If you found this story gripping and informative, please hit the subscribe button below and dive into more captivating tales of historical events that have shaped our world and continue to resonate today.